add that to various trade officials gathering at the White House today, trying to iron out differences with the European Union, with whom we already thought we had a deal. Well, there you got Canada, there you got Mexico, and now the European Union. And these were the countries and the regions with which we thought we had at least the broad makings of a deal, leaving China out completely. So maybe a lot of this is concern that all that bluster around trade deals scored could be trade deals scorned. Former aide to Maggie Thatcher joins us right now, Nile Gardiner. Nile, without getting too much into the trade weeds here, this could be a classic case of dotting your I's, crossing your T's to make sure you do have a deal. Promising one and then having one is quite different, huh?
Absolutely, and I think, both sides have sort of walked away from, the prospect of further tariffs, and especially on the U.S. side, I think you've seen the White House backing off from imposing a new wave of tariffs against the EU over car manufacturers. So I think that's good news. But in terms of some overall U.S.-EU grand trade deal, a transatlantic trade investment partnership deal, TTIP as it's known, I think we're years away from that kind of agreement. And it's very difficult when you're negotiating with 27 countries under one supranational umbrella here. And so I don't really have much faith in the prospect of a US-EU trade agreement being negotiated. And let's not forget, the European Union is deeply protectionist in terms of its outlook. There are very strong reservations within the EU against President Trump's call for the elimination of all tariff barriers
right.
on both sides. And so, I don't have much faith actually in the EU dropping their protectionist barriers. The European Union operates, for example, the Common Agricultural Policy, the world's biggest protectionist, racket actually. And so I don't think we're going to see some kind of grand trade deal being negotiated by the two sides.
I'm wondering what is going on now between the president and the British Prime Minister Theresa May. Apparently she called him on Air Force One to congratulate his party, I guess, picking up seats in the Senate. It turned into a nasty phone call, we're told, where the president went right back at her saying she was botching a Brexit, and it caught her flummoxed completely. Do you know what that was about and what the beef is?
Yeah, so my understanding is that, and this has been reported in the British press, especially in the Times of London, that basically the president called Theresa May out on her stance on the Iran nuclear agreement. Britain has been siding with France and Germany in opposition to America's withdrawal from the disastrous JCPOA Iran nuclear deal. And I think that President Trump feels that Theresa May should be standing alongside the United States, actually, on the Iran nuclear issue, and not standing with the European Union. And I think the president has a perfectly valid point here. And I would hope that Brexit Britain, in the Brexit era, will distance itself from EU foreign policy. Britain should have a completely independent foreign policy, working closely with the United States. Also, I think that President Trump feels, and he's right on this, that Theresa May has been far too weak-kneed in terms of the Brexit negotiations with the European Union, and he's called her out on this, not for the first time. He did this back in July when he went to Britain and condemned the Prime Minister's
but he's kind of running out of friends, isn't he? I mean, at least she's the closest to him in his thinking than any of the other leaders, particularly Macron or Angela Merkel, right?
Yeah, it is an extraordinary situation. I think Britain remains by far America's closest friend and ally. That won't change. But certainly the president speaks frankly on these matters. Yeah,
that was probably the way it goes. Nile Gardiner, thank you, my friend. Very good seeing you. As Nile and I were speaking here, we did get a confirmation.